And with that point, JT, perhaps leading us nicely to what's still to come, Chippa United go into the top 8, dropping out, of course.
Yeah, and I think it just shows you what 3 points a win does for you and dropping points.
Yeah.
Because it's just how closely the margins are. I think at the beginning of the show, Chiefs was on position 8. You know, they are quickly moved into position 10 purely because of that result that just happened. But now, Chiefs have got a game in the evening, so hopefully they'll be able to get 3 points to get back into the picture.
That hopefully was said without much bass there, JT. But it's okay, moving up to that part of the game in a short while. Firstly, though, we have to acknowledge Orlando Pirates and their victory. They've completed a league double over Polokwane City, the latest coming by a single goal to nil. That goal scored very late into second half. And we're going to start there, Stiga, because it did come eventually, that goal for Orlando Pirates. Again, not necessarily their best game that they'll play this season. However, at this stage of the campaign, it really doesn't matter how the wins come.
Yeah, but hard-fought victory.
Yeah.
It might look like it was a goalkeeping error, but if you just look at the movement or the delivery of the free kick, that could have certainly pushed the defensive ball a little bit closer to the goalkeeper, which possibly made him doubt himself a bit more. See, there was the movement initially, then you're assuming he's going to be the right-footed, and it's a substitute, Kabelo Dlamini, just an awesome ball in behind the defense, which really makes the goalkeeper doubtful, a little bit fortuitous, but the plan was there, and that's all you need.
From a Puchmafa point of view, JT, is he going to chalk this off as a goalkeeping error?
I think it's two things. It's a goalkeeping error. Secondly, one also needs to give credit to Orlando Pirates for that free kick. And I'll tell you why. If you look at it from the top of that action, maybe if we can just have a real look at the goal, we'll actually realize that there's a run that's made by Dlamini initially. That is obviously to disrupt that defense. This was before he kicks the ball. He made the run as a dummy run. Now you switch off as a defender because the ball has not been played. And when he comes back for the second time around, now his delivery gets everybody surprised, and it became a reaction, for the Polokwane defense, including the goalkeeper, because now you've got bodies moving towards you. You have to anticipate the ball coming in to make sure that you get a good hands behind it, and he drops it in the process of doing that. And that's how Pirates got to score. So one really needs to give credit to just the presence of mind from the Orlando Pirates players to say there'll be a first run, just to delay it. The second run is now where the delivery happened. But now the Polokwane City players, because they were not aware of the planning of that free kick, that is what surprised the entire Polokwane City team.
No, echoed. But it's all about the delivery and the substitute as well. Dlamini started the game against MC Alger. Obviously, he brings a different dynamic to this Orlando Pirates side. He's very calm in possession. He slows the game down. He's patient. And then so important in a professional player, you can have skill, you can have speed. But the delivery of a set play is a strength. And that is what a coach would always say, okay, this player will give me this, but he's got that.
Yeah.
And then he used it very nicely, not from the start, impact from the bench. We did mention at the top of the show that this game could be won from the bench, and there's a lot of depth in this Orlando Pirates side. And Dlamini came in and affected it positively, and it was possibly thinking from the coach to say it is going to be a tight game, and so often set plays are the way to get the 3 points.
Yeah. And Dlamini coming in as one of two offensive changes in that second half. He came in alongside another player in a striker, and that's exactly what the Orlando Pirates were trying to do in that second half. Go for the 3 points, and they certainly did find it. Now, the man of the match was none other than Mogazi, and it's mostly for his defensive work. Here he was, though, just after half-time, JT, looking to find an absolute scorcher from range.
Yeah, no, and this seems to be part of his strength also. He's so comfortable on the ball. What defenders normally do, centre backs, in that is after they've won the ball, they think of passing it because it's a very unfamiliar territory for him to find himself having gone this far. But he decides to take charge, to take responsibility. The technique was good. the intention was good. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't hit the target. But you need to credit him for also just making sure that he takes opportunity and advantage of that situation that he found himself. But yeah, I think he's one for the future. The fact that he's solidified that position, it gives him the option to play as a left-sided centre back. He's left-footed, which you rarely have good left-sided centre back. So I think he's a rare find for Orlando Pirates, and the fact that he can put Koki on the bench, it tells you a lot of his quality.
Not only Koki, there's Nda, and there's Sesani. And very much like Sesani, he's very good with his diagonal balls. And also the setup of Orlando Pirates allows that to happen because they're applying the pressure. Polokwane drops deep. Now the defensive line is very high. So the minute there's a misplaced clearance, you're on top of it. Now the confidence of this young man comes through, and now he's able to do that, Everybody's occupied, there's space just in front of the defense, and it just speaks to Orlando Pirates holistically. They're so confident, they're playing with a very high line rather. So there's a lot of numbers in the opposition box, and opportunities like this will open up, and when you have a confident player like Mogazi, they'll take advantage of that.
Still, at the tender age of 19 years, is Mogazi certainly one for the future indeed. Now, it was a wonderful question that Carol did field to put to our fair as far as Polokwane City and their attacking endeavour is concerned. We didn't see too much of them in the final third. From a set piece, so they did threaten once or twice, this being arguably the best chance of that second half. Ramabu denied by Makhaula on the line.
Yeah, I think we did touch on it also at the top of the show to say some of the strength of this Polokwane City is on standard situation. And Ramabu scored even last week against Richards Bay. Their captain Kampala was also in the mix. So they know areas where they are also strong at, which is on the set pieces. Hence, we also touched on Apollos to say on the delivery of set pieces, they rely on his quality, and you could see also in that overlay that's exactly what happened. So sometimes when they can't score in open play, they look for that set piece. And then after that, they close the game because hence at this point in time, they only scored 18 goals. They've conceded 19. So now they are on a -1 goal difference. But they came in this encounter having scored 18, having conceded 18. So you can see it's not a team that really scores a lot, and they score mostly through set pieces.
Holistically then, Steve, how will they reflect on this game as an attacking force for Polokwane City?
A little bit did. I think, yes, they relied on the individual brilliance of Apollos. Ramabu was rather quiet. So just on one or two breaks, and most of those attempts came from outside of the box, So I think the plan here was to contain Orlando Pirates and then hopefully catch them on the counter. Now what's required of that is, if you're going to counter, you need one or two players to assist. And I think they were just totally outnumbered, and I think you've got to also give credit to the rest defense of Orlando Pirates, understanding that there might be a clearance, where would it fall to? So we need to occupy that space. So Polokwane City, as Jimmy mentioned, they've conceded 18, now 19 after this game, and that's the third lowest of all teams in this league. So that shows you defensively they are sound, and it will get you points, and you will find yourself in the mix in the top 8. But if you want to be a top 4, as the coach mentioned at the top of the show in his interview, you're going to have to start scoring goals. And last week against Richards Bay, they managed to score 3. Before that, it was 1 goal in 8 encounters, So certainly that attacking side of Polokwane needs a bit of improvement.
Yeah, certainly if they are, again, as Steve has just mentioned, to preserve their ambitions of finishing within that top 4 bracket. Now, the final score says 1-0. Could have been 2 from an Orlando Pirates perspective. Had Tseho Mabasa, who came off the bench, found the back of the net here. It would have been a wonderful end to a brilliant move from Ian Relebufukeng.
A brilliant move. He drops into that, just in front of that defense. Now, this is where his creativity comes in. For me, really is one of the most calm players in and around the box. His decision making normally is what helps him to create for Orlando Pirates, because there, as much as trying to move people around or move them away, so he's got a better clearance to say what does he have to do in return. He then realizes Mabasa is free. The idea from Mabasa was there. I think it's just the technique just failed him, because if he puts that or slightly inside of his foot, is able to get a bend on that ball, and which is what he failed to do in the distance.
Orlando Pirates' top goal scorer this season in the Betway Premiership. Incidentally, he scored 26 goals since Jose Rivera took over, the most by any player under the watch of the Spaniard. These are the numbers then that tell the story of how Orlando Pirates were able to edge Polokwane City. Ultimately, those shots on target from the Buccaneers will give them that nod to say that we did enough to win this game.
Yeah, nudging it in possession as well. But I think the importance of that possession was not in your own half. They've applied the pressure, they played in your opposition's half, which is Polokwane's half. So I think that just speaks to the confidence that's within the side, the tactical application, as well as the ability to bring players off the bench to affect the game.
JT?
Yeah, I think even when you look at those stats, you can see Pirates was much more in control of the game. You know, though the chances created don't really give a clear picture. You know, but I think at this stage of the season, the 3 points is what matters more than the type of football you want to play. You know, because at the end of the day, you'll be judged on results at the end of the season, which is I think what Pirates are focusing on at this point in time. Mind you, we touched also on the fact that the fatigue might also kick in. So you don't expect Pirates to play at their optimum purely because of the schedule that they have. But for them to still pick up valuable 3 points like this, it will take them a long way in terms of getting closer to our Sundowns.
Yeah, it's another set of points that add to a sparkling couple of weeks for Orlando Pirates, beating rise of Mamelodi Sundowns in the league, beating MC Alger in the CAF Champions League, and now they've managed another set of 3 points against Rise and Shine. Let's head back to the old Peter Mogazi Stadium. Carol has managed to catch up with a couple of players as a reflect on what you've just seen. One is Polokwane City talisman Austin Apollos, the other milestone man Makhaula.
Well, just a reflection on the big encounter that we just witnessed here at the old Peter Mogazi Stadium. These are regular combatants, Polokwane City as well as Orlando Pirates. Very exciting encounter, and it's exactly what we were expecting. Osman, listen, you guys always know that Orlando Pirates give you a run for your money. You wanted to make things extremely difficult for them today. You were so stubborn.
Yes, you know, when you come up against the big teams in South Africa, you know, like Pirates, you know, it's always going to be a difficult match, you know. We wanted the point today, you know, but they got the crucial goal, you know, and it was just a matter of time, you know, because they were coming at us, you know. But we tried to get the 1 goal, you know, it wasn't our day today.
Yeah, but did you feel like they were playing for a draw? Because initially he said he wanted a point, he wanted maximum points. Did you feel like, because they were making things so tough, the defense?
Yeah. For me, like I don't think it was gonna be a draw because they were marking us. They didn't give us space in the middle. It's obvious they are centre backs. They were always ready to run wide. So it was a really tough game.
It really, really was. I know it was a special game for you. Your 250th career appearance in all games.
Me?
Yeah, 250th.
No, I didn't know it. I think I didn't know that. Thank you for reminding me, and I don't know what to say, and I'm so emotional right now. I didn't know that I was playing my 250 game today. No one told me, but I will keep on going as much as I can, and hopefully I will arrive at 300.
There we go. And we'll be keeping tabs on that as well. Also, I know for you, you know, this deep in the season, in the campaign, so much more is demanded from you guys as players, and especially someone that's got the experience like you. You know, you're looking at what you're doing as well for the national team. You come into this Polokwane City side with a lot of responsibilities for the rest of the players.
You know, first want to congrats Makhaula for 250 caps. You know, it's a big milestone. You know, so I just want to congratulate you. And you know, for us as Polokwane, you know, we just want to continue going now and win as much games as possible. You know, I think it's 7 or 6 games left. We just want to get a few wins, you know, and just get us higher up on the log.
That's right, and I know you just want to keep going now. As you've been saying, it's not over yet. There's still lots to fight for until the end of the season.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to fight for, and I I think as much as we grind the points, then it doesn't matter how we grind it. Sometimes it's gonna be ugly, sometimes it's gonna be beautiful. But as long at the end of the day, when you get a 3 points, then you keep on going. You'll never know what happens at the end of the season.
That's right. Gallant fight, Polokwane City. Well done, Mapagania. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, James. All right. So that is what happened here in this encounter. And as you rightfully said, it's a Polokwane takeover. So from this clash between Polokwane City as well as Orlando Pirates to another across the way, the Soweto Giants, they're saying they're billing this not just as a Polokwane takeover, but a battle of the provinces.
Listen, Simply Carol, it is a football extravaganza. If you're in and around Polokwane and you're saying, you said Gazini forever, 2 big clashes, just 2 kilometers radius in between the 2 stadiums. I'm seeing a lot of the fans leaving the stadium. I'm hoping it's a quick switch to the new Peter Mokaba Stadium.
No, I'm sure it will be, especially because we saw some fans that were donned in the Kaizer Chiefs regalia. There were a few rockets as well in the stands here, so most certainly, just judging by how quickly this stadium has emptied, they are making their way across the way. They'll be following you.
There was a lot of traffic, Carol. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Coming in at around the 80th minute of this game, there was already people that were now making their way to the next venue, wanting to be seated and waiting for Kaizer Chiefs up against the Rockets, because for the Rockets as well, a lot to play for. They're chasing for the 3rd place.
Oh man, all right, so the excitement continuing, as we said, a football extravaganza on this Saturday. Follow us as we make our way now to the new Peter Mokaba Stadium. I'll be handing over the baton, or must I say the mic, to Lerato.
Gracias, thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much to Carol and indeed Lerato Paco, who will be keeping an eye on what's going to be happening at the new Peter Mokaba Stadium a little later on. Kaizer Chiefs up against TS Galaxy. Some wonderful insights we got there from both Makhaula and also, I want to start with Makhaula. 250 appearances now in South African top flight football. And again, the majority of them would have been with Amazulu over in Durban. He's since, though, come in, particularly in the last 2 seasons, Diga, and looked the part in that midfield for Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, it's just been so awesome because the transition wasn't easy for Makhaula when he came from Amazulu to Orlando Pirates. Played a few games, then fell out of favour, Jimmy. But that just speaks to the professionalism, the hard work. You come in, the coach doesn't really quite feel that you are what he bought, and then you prove yourself at training. So he's certainly done that. And he finds himself at 35 years old playing 250 games. I think that's just awesome. So the question is, does he have another year? Does he have another 2 years? And if I was making signings at the Orlando Pirates, I'll give him another 1+1 or 2+1, because you look at the number of games he plays, you look at the frequency of injuries, which is very minimal. So that's just awesome, and it's brilliant to see that a player that's not flashy, that's not the fan favorite, really get acknowledgement, so it's just so awesome, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and he certainly kept his ambitions nice and low when he said hopefully he gets another 50. We're hoping he doesn't say another 250. Yeah, age is not necessarily on his side, but performance-wise, he's still right up there.
Yeah, and he's got leadership also, which is something that you need in that mix of young players like Aborele, Mogazi, Kota, because then he's one of the senior players to just rally the troops behind, and also because of his work ethic. It's easy for players around him to really pick up the positive things that he does. It's a great milestone, and we can only hope it gets better. He can keep pushing. I think for him, he's still got a long way to go. He seems to be a very disciplined player also, so which is also key to give you that longevity that you're looking for in this game.
It's been absolutely wonderful in that midfield for Orlando Pirates as they continue to target pretty much everything available for them before the end of the season. Let's stick with the Orlando Pirates camp then. Mogazi, yet another man of the match performance for him, yet another one of the young brigade for Orlando Pirates that in recent years have made a wonderful contribution to the senior team. So then, let's find out for the man responsible for cooking them all. Here's Joseph Dudu Makhaula.
We've got a good good scouting network, especially with Coach Mkolis, who's been doing a lot of scouting for the team as well. So Real was found through the ranks of a school of excellence, identified, so he needed to understand how do we want him to play as well when you go to DDC, because now DDC gave you a bit of a window of what is expected at first team. So you can see now he's not faced with the expectation at first team. And again, we're going to give credit to also the first team coaches for fine-tuning maybe the timing of introducing them. Whenever they're introduced, they look like they're ready, but again, the readiness starts here as well, whereby they're being pushed. You look at Nkota at some point, he was said, he's a striker, we had to convert him, because even with Really, he was said he's a player that plays behind maybe the central number 10. We said, no, maybe let's start him on the wide area so that at least he gets to understand what does it mean to be an offensive player of Pirates. Now that he's slowly getting into it, now Really can be turned into a central number 10, because now with better understanding, and because also can see he can take a lot of challenges inside the vertical lines as well, especially in the field of play. So now you check also how was scouted from a program, ASH invited, because we constantly invite, because we are not picky in terms of inviting. If we see a player somewhere, I'm more than welcome to invite him, so that at least he is also being given an opportunity, because we are the team that gives players an opportunity. We don't care about the background, we care about the talent that a player has, because if we have to check how we got Mogazi and Mogazi, there's a coach, Coach Wanda, who recommended Mogazi after Mogazi was seen playing in a friendly tournament in Durban. At that time we had lost Samuel Kabini, who recently went to Norway, because he's also our player as well, who came through the ranks as well, who was recruited by Coach Manda Kogi as well. I remember when we called him, the only language that he understood it was Zulu. So he used to sit in these chairs. We discuss maybe a bit of tactics with him alone, because now with the team, you will see we are talking about tactics. Now he doesn't understand anything. So far, he understands the game very well. If you are to check, a very arrogant player in terms of maybe resolving with defending, arrogant in possession, doesn't just kick the ball forward, he passes into a player. So now it tells you that he knows what type of a player is needed in our best team. So now it tells you that the recruitment also policy also is well on point in terms of the type of players that we recruit, because us as coaches are also becoming the facilitators, so that we know the kind of players that we're trying to produce for the first team.
Some brilliant work done by Dugudugu Makanya with the development side at Orlando Pirates, and it's bearing some wonderful fruit as well. And he touched on Brady Mfugeng, he touched on Nkota. I want to touch on Mogazi just a bit more, because centre-back is a bit more of a specialist position than maybe an attacker. So what is it about this young Mogazi fella that you're seeing, JT, that at 19 makes you confident that he's going to be making great contributions perhaps to the national team sooner rather than later?
So firstly, you start with the coaching.
Yeah.
Joseph Makanya is a product of development. So he understands the process that you have to go through to get into the first team. Now, when he inherits the development team, which is the DDC team, he understands the crucial role that he's playing as a coach, as a conduit to produce for the first team. Now, it's important for him to remind players like Mogazi what it then means to don the jersey firstly, the opportunity that he has.
Right.
Most importantly is to protect the talent and nurture it. And that's what Joseph is doing in that. So one needs to give the DDC or the junior coaches credit, because I think they're so far in the background that we don't really get to see the work that goes into it. I think having covered that, Mogazi as a player, like I think he's one for the future. He's got elements of old John Mabizela, but given time, it's not for me to compare him to old John now, but he's got characteristics of old John, very arrogant on the ball, confident on one-on-one situations. He knows his strengths, and he's playing according to his strengths, and that talks to development, proper coaching. And also the fact that he's come into that team and he seems to still be such a humble player.
Right.
Takes a lot. 2-3 games, get a change room, you know. It's easy for young players to fall off, but he seems to have his head lightly fastened on, tightened on his shoulders. He's a solid player.
You're not the first former player to mention that, I guess, comparison with old John Mabizela. Your assessments of Mogazi at this stage of his career?
Yeah, I'm always wary of when we tend to compare players, especially when we speak of old John Mabizela. Jimmy played with him, and that's why Jimmy put caution to the just be careful before we make comparisons, because it then puts the boy under pressure. You know, but having said that, you know what I find with defenders, there's a standard leadership about them, and coming through the hands of Joseph Makhaula. He would have recognized that, and he would have known, okay, I think this boy's ready, because when you're a leader, you lead by example. So that means he's training like a professional, he's playing like a professional. The beautiful opportunity of the Diski Challenge gives you an opportunity to see and gauge where the player is, and then the transition becomes so much easier. So I certainly rank him high up there. When players come back from the first team, competition will be there, and he just needs to keep his head on his shoulders, how he started, remain as confident as he is, and he'll keep those boys on the bench, Sesani and Da, Koki, you know, and very early on getting continental experience as well. That is priceless.
Certainly is, and he has not looked out of place in any way, shape or form in the CAF Champions League. Mogazi, the man in question. Let's head back to Polokwane there, because Levi Loco has found a couple of fans who would love to have a reaction as to what they've seen from Orlando Pirates in particular, and of course what might still be coming up just across the road, Kaizer Chiefs up against TS Galaxy.
Well, there you have it. The dust has settled at the old Peter Mokaba Stadium, rather. But now, all roads head to new Peter Mokaba. So, you could have done a game here today.
Even now, we can win. 1-0. Yeah, 1-0. It reports the Gamo Pirates.
Mara Bafana Mama Pets a sharp, Mara.
One of our pets, Mara, in over game you can see or a Tamara, Linda win more in Amara. You win the Pirates of Kawane or Mara Lilonal game, very wima. Vanor Kora, Kaur Kora, Mara, French, ruin the rain, I'm up on Polokwane City. I would hope.
So they are going to Peter Mokaba right now. Are you going to the Chiefs and TS Galaxy game?
Why is
I no support Babang? Or get us a mega ticket till it's a plan. Okay, regulars are mega ticket. Okay, well there you have it. All roads lead to New Peter Mokaba Stadium. The Polokwane takeover is still underway. And now Soweto Giants is going to be facing TS Galaxy at the new stadium. Let's head over there.
Levi banyaka ticket ili chelete ya transport, so both tickets and money to go home. But yeah, some of those fans, of course, making the trip right across the road to meet, or rather watch, Kaizer Chiefs up against TS Galaxy. We're going to take a short breather. On the other side of it, we have a look back on how it was at Marumo